The Galactic Exchange Program. In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, the civilization of Zor-7 stood as a beacon of advanced technology and peaceful coexistence. Their crystalline cities sparkled across multiple planets, linked by a network of instantaneous matter transporters. The Zor-7 beings, with their luminescent, amorphous bodies, prided themselves on their logical thinking and efficient society. For millennia, the Zor-7 had observed other species from afar, cataloging their behaviors and technological advancements. However, they had never engaged in direct contact, fearing the unpredictability of less evolved races. That was about to change. Professor Lumi X, the head of xenosociology at the prestigious Zor-7 Academy of Galactic Studies, pulsed with nervous energy as she addressed the faculty. Her form shimmered with hues of blue and green, reflecting her mix of excitement and apprehension. Esteemed colleagues, she began, her thoughts resonating in the minds of those present, the High Council has made a momentous decision. We will be participating in our first ever interstellar exchange program. A ripple of surprise passed through the gathered academics, their bodies flickering with a kaleidoscope of colors. Our partners in this endeavor, Lumi X continued, are a species known as humans, from a planet called Earth in the Milky Way galaxy. The announcement was met with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Earth was classified as a death world by Zor-7 standards, a planet fraught with natural disasters, extreme climates, and persistent conflict among its inhabitants. But Professor, interjected Glow Z, a young faculty member, are humans not considered a volatile and potentially dangerous species? Lumi X's form pulsed with calming waves of lavender. While it's true that humans have a complex history, they have also shown remarkable progress in recent centuries. This exchange offers us a unique opportunity to study them up close and perhaps learn from their resilience. As the news spread across Zor-7, preparations began in earnest. A dedicated wing of the Academy was retrofitted to accommodate the biological needs of the human visitors. Atmosphere regulators, gravity adjusters, and nutrient synthesizers were installed to ensure the comfort and safety of their Earthborn guests. Months later, as the appointed day arrived, a palpable tension filled the air. Students and faculty gathered in the Academy's grand atrium, their bodies shimmering with anticipation. A low hum filled the air as the matter transporter activated, signaling the arrival of the human delegation. In a flash of brilliant light, 3 figures materialized on the transporter pad. As the glow faded, the Zor-7 got their first real-life glimpse of humans. There stood 2 females and 1 male, their solid forms a stark contrast to the fluid bodies of their hosts. The humans wore specially designed envirosuits that protected them from the alien atmosphere while allowing freedom of movement. Professor Lumi X floated forward, her form adopting a warm golden hue. "Welcome to Zor-7, she projected telepathically, having studied human languages in preparation for this moment. "I am Professor Lumi X, your guide for this exchange." The taller of the 2 female humans stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder behind her helmet's visor. "Thank you, Professor Lumi X. I'm Dr. Amelia Chen, xenobiologist. With me are Dr. Jamal Okafor, astrophysicist, and Zara Patel, linguist and cultural specialist." As the humans were led on a tour of the Academy, the Zor-7 students watched in fascination. They marveled at the strange, rigid gaits of their visitors, the way their faces contorted to express emotions, and the constant stream of audible speech that accompanied their telepathic communications. During the tour, an unexpected incident occurred that would set the tone for the cultural misunderstandings to come. As they passed through a zero-gravity corridor, Dr. Okafor, in a moment of playfulness, pushed off a wall and performed a backflip. The Zor-7 observers recoiled in shock, their bodies flashing alarming shades of red and orange. To them, such an unnecessary and potentially dangerous action was incomprehensible. Zara, noticing the alien's distress, quickly explained, "Please don't be alarmed. Dr. Okafor was just expressing joy and excitement. Humans often engage in physical activities for fun or to challenge themselves. This explanation did little to alleviate the Zor 7's confusion. The concept of voluntarily putting oneself at risk for fun was entirely foreign to their risk-averse culture. As the day progressed, more cultural differences came to light. The humans' need for regular meals, their sleep cycles, and their constant curiosity about their surroundings both intrigued and perplexed their hosts. That evening, as the human guests retired to their specially prepared quarters, the Zor 7 faculty convened an emergency meeting. "They are far more unpredictable than we anticipated," Glosy expressed, his phone flickering with concern. Professor Lumi X pulsed soothingly. "Indeed, but that is precisely why this exchange is so valuable. We have much to learn from each other. Tomorrow we will begin integrating them into our classes. Let us approach this with open minds." As the meeting adjourned, none of the Zor 7 could have predicted just how much their orderly world was about to be shaken by the presence of these strange, solid beings from Earth. In their quarters, the human trio excitedly discussed the day's events. "Did you see how they reacted to your flip, Jamal?" Zara chuckled. "I think we might need to tone down the physicality a bit." Jamal grinned sheepishly. "I couldn't help myself. But you're right, we need to be more mindful of their sensibilities." Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Tomorrow's going to be crucial. We need to find a way to bridge this gap in understanding. The Zor 7 have so much to offer, but they'll never see our potential if they're too afraid of us." As they settled in for the night, each of them pondered the challenges ahead. They had expected differences, but the gulf between human and Zor 7 perspectives seemed vast. Yet, in that challenge lay the promise of groundbreaking discovery and unprecedented cooperation. Little did they know that their adaptability and resilience, the very traits that so unsettled their hosts, would soon be put to the test in ways none of them could have imagined. Unraveling human nature. The following days at the Zor 7 Academy of Galactic Studies were a whirlwind of activity and discovery. As the human exchange students integrated into classes, their presence catalyzed a series of events that would challenge the very foundations of Zor 7 society. It began innocuously enough in Professor Looney X's comparative physiology class. The topic of the day was adaptations to different planetary environments. As Looney X explained the Zor 7's ability to alter their physical form to suit various conditions, Dr. Amelia Chen raised her hand. "Professor," she began, "humans have a different approach to adapting. Instead of changing our bodies, we often create technology or train ourselves to overcome environmental challenges." Intrigued, Looney X invited Dr. Chen to elaborate. What followed was a presentation that left the Zor 7 students in a state of shock and awe. Dr. Chen described human achievements like scaling Mount Everest, diving to the deepest parts of the ocean, and even venturing into the vacuum of space. She showed videos of marathon runners, free divers, and astronauts pushing the limits of human endurance. "But why?" asked a Zor 7 student, their phone flickering with confusion. "Why risk harm when it's unnecessary?" Zara Patel, the linguist, stepped in to explain. "For humans, overcoming challenges is a fundamental drive. We see difficult tasks as opportunities for growth and achievement." This concept was met with a mixture of fascination and horror. The idea of voluntarily facing danger or discomfort for personal growth was entirely alien to the risk-averse Zor 7. Sensing the discomfort in the room, Dr. Jamal Okafor decided to take a different approach. "Perhaps a demonstration would help," he suggested. "With your permission, Professor Looney X, I'd like to introduce a human game that showcases our problem-solving skills and physical coordination." Looney X, her curiosity overcoming her apprehension, agreed. The next day, the atrium of the academy was transformed into a makeshift obstacle course. Jamal introduced the concept of parkour, the art of moving efficiently through complex environments. As Jamal navigated the course, leaping over barriers, rolling under obstacles, and scaling walls, the Zor 7 watched in amazement. Their fluid bodies rippled with a mix of anxiety and excitement. You see, Jamal explained between breaths, humans train to adapt to our environment physically when we can't change it. This sport helps us develop strength, agility, and quick thinking. Inspired by the demonstration, a few brave ZOR 7 students asked to try the course. What followed was both comical and enlightening, as the amorphous aliens attempted to mimic human movements. Though they struggled, there was an undeniable sense of enjoyment in the challenge. This event marked a turning point in the exchange program. The ZOR 7 began to see humans not just as unpredictable and potentially dangerous, but as beings with unique strengths and perspectives. However, not everyone was thrilled with these developments. A group of conservative faculty members, led by Professor Glowzy, raised concerns about the influence of human culture on their students. These games and unnecessary risks go against everything our society stands for, Glowzy argued in a heated faculty meeting. We value efficiency, safety, and logical progress. Human recklessness could undo millennia of careful development. Professor Lumi X countered, but can we not learn from their adaptability? Their willingness to face challenges head-on has led to remarkable innovations. The debate raged on, reflecting a growing divide within ZOR 7 society. Some embraced the new perspectives brought by the humans, while others feared the changes they might bring. Meanwhile, the human trio continued to share aspects of their culture. Zara introduced literature and art, showcasing human creativity. The abstract nature of poetry and the emotional depth of music were particularly challenging concepts for the logical ZOR 7 to grasp. Dr. Chen focused on human scientific achievements, emphasizing how competition and the desire to explore had driven rapid technological advancement. She spoke of space race between nations that had ultimately led to unprecedented cooperation in space exploration. As weeks passed, small but significant changes began to appear in ZOR 7 society. Students started forming groups to tackle complex problems together, inspired by human teamwork. Some even began experimenting with physical games and sports, much to the chagrin of the more conservative elements. The exchange program, originally planned as a short-term experiment, was extended indefinitely. The High Council of ZOR 7, while cautious, recognized the potential benefits of continued interaction with humans. However, this period of cultural exchange was not without its challenges. Misunderstandings and accidents occurred as the ZOR 7 attempted to incorporate human ideas into their society. A group of young ZOR 7, inspired by stories of human exploration, ventured into a restricted, high-radiation area of their planet, leading to a tense rescue operation. This incident fueled the arguments of those opposed to human influence. Protests began to form outside the academy, with concerned citizens demanding an end to the exchange program. As tensions rose, Professor Lumi X and the human visitors found themselves at the center of a cultural storm. They worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and ZOR 7 perspectives, organizing workshops, debates, and collaborative projects. One evening, as the trio of humans sat in their quarters discussing the growing unrest, an alarm blared through the academy. Red lights flashed, and the telepathic emergency system broadcasted a message that chilled them to the core. Attention all citizens. A critical malfunction has been detected in the planetary shield generator. Catastrophic failure imminent. This is not a drill. Prepare for emergency protocols. The humans exchanged worried glances. They had learned about the shield generator, a massive device that protected ZOR 7 from deadly solar radiation. Without it, the planet would become uninhabitable within hours. As panic began to spread through the academy, Dr. Chen's eyes lit up with determination. "This is our chance," she said to her companions. "This is how we show them the true value of human ingenuity and courage." Little did they know, their greatest challenge and opportunity was just beginning. The fate of an entire civilization would soon rest in their hands, testing the limits of human problem-solving and the strength of the bond they had forged with the ZOR 7. The ultimate challenge. The ZOR 7 Academy of Galactic Studies, usually a bastion of calm and ordered study, had descended into chaos. The news of the failing planetary shield had spread rapidly, causing widespread panic among the normally composed alien beings. Their fluid forms rippled with fear, flashing alarming shades of deep red and sickly green. In the midst of this turmoil, the three human exchange students, Dr. Amelia Chen, Dr. Jamal Okafor, and Zara Patel, found themselves in an emergency meeting with Professor Lumi X and the Academy's crisis response team. The situation is dire. Lumi X communicated, her usually radiant form now a dull, worried grey. Our engineers estimate we have less than 6 hours before the shield fails completely. Once that happens, lethal levels of radiation will flood our atmosphere. Dr. Chen leaned forward, her brow furrowed in concentration. What about evacuation? Surely you have protocols for this kind of emergency. A ripple of dismay passed through the gathered Zor 7. Our population is too large, and our nearest colony is several light years away, one of the alien scientists explained. We've never needed to consider full planetary evacuation. It's unthinkable. Dr. Okafor, the astrophysicist, interjected, what exactly is wrong with the shield generator? Maybe we can help troubleshoot the problem. The Zor 7 engineers projected a holographic model of the massive shield generator. They explained that a critical component deep within the machine had failed, and the intense radiation surrounding the core made it impossible for their amorphous bodies to safely approach and repair it. As the aliens debated their limited options, growing increasingly despondent, Zara noticed a change come over her human colleagues. Dr. Chen's eyes were alight with that familiar spark of determination, while Dr. Okafor nodded slowly, a plan clearly forming in his mind. We can fix this, Dr. Chen declared, her voice cutting through the telepathic murmurs of despair. The Zor 7 turned to her, their forms pulsing with a mix of confusion and desperate hope. How? Professor Lumi X asked, a faint flicker of her usual golden hue returning. The radiation levels are far too dangerous for any living being to endure. Dr. Okafor stepped forward, pulling out the schematics of the shield generator on a nearby display. Not for us, he said firmly. Human bodies are remarkably resilient to short-term radiation exposure. With the right protection, we could safely reach the core and repair the damaged component. A shocked silence fell over the room. The Zor 7 struggled to comprehend the idea of voluntarily exposing oneself to such danger. But that's an unacceptable risk. Professor Glowzy sputtered, his form flickering erratically. We can't ask you but that's an unacceptable risk. Professor Glowzy sputtered, his form flickering erratically. We can't ask you to sacrifice yourselves for our world. Dr. Chen's voice was calm but firm. You're not asking, Professor. We're offering. This is what humans do. We face challenges head-on, especially when lives are at stake. Zara stepped forward, her eyes shining with determination. You've welcomed us to your world, shared your knowledge with us. Allow us to return the favor by sharing our strength. The Zor 7 present rippled with a complex mix of emotions, awe, gratitude, and lingering disbelief. Professor Lumi X's form began to glow with a warm, hopeful light. If you truly believe you can do this, we would be forever in your debt. But how can we assist you? Dr. Okafor was already busy at a console, pulling up more detailed schematics of the shield generator. We'll need protective suits, the best you have. And we'll need a crash course in the generator's inner workings. Every second counts. What followed was a whirlwind of activity. As news of the humans' plan spread, the mood across the planet shifted from despair to cautious hope. The Zor 7's efficient nature came to the fore as they rallied to support the rescue mission. In the Academy's Advanced Fabrication Lab, engineers worked feverishly to modify their most resilient envirosuits for human physiology. Xenobiologists provided data on human tolerance to various forms of radiation, allowing for last-minute adjustments to maximize protection. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen and Dr. Okafor underwent an intensive briefing on the shield generator systems. Their human capacity for quick learning and adaptability shone as they absorbed complex alien engineering principles in a matter of hours. Zara, with her background in linguistics and cultural studies, took on a different but equally crucial role. She worked with the Zor 7 media to communicate the plan to the public, her words helping to calm the panicked population and foster a sense of unity in crisis. As the deadline loomed closer, the humans prepared for their dangerous mission. They stood before the assembled Zor 7 officials, now clad in gleaming protective suits that hummed with alien technology. Professor Lumi X approached them, her form glowing with a mix of admiration and concern. "We cannot thank you enough for what you're about to attempt," she communicated. "Is there anything else you need before you go?" Dr. Chen smiled behind her helmet's visor. "Just one thing, Professor. If we succeed, promise me that Zor 7 will continue to look beyond its borders. The galaxy has so much to offer if you're willing to take a few risks." Lumi X's form rippled with agreement. "You have my word. Your courage has already begun to change our world." With final checks complete, the human trio made their way to the transport pad that would take them directly to the shield generator complex. As they prepared to depart, Dr. Okafor turned to his companions. "Well, team, ready to make history?" Zara grinned, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Born ready. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do." In a flash of light, they vanished, rematerializing moments later in the heart of the massive shield generator. The scene that greeted them was one of barely controlled chaos. Alarms blared, warning lights flashed, and the air itself seemed to crackle with the promise of impending doom. Wasting no time, the team sprung into action. Dr. Okafor took the lead, guiding them through the labyrinth of alien machinery. Dr. Chen followed close behind, her expert eyes scanning for signs of the critical malfunction. Zara brought up the rear, maintaining constant communication with the control center and relaying crucial information. As they delved deeper into the generator's core, the radiation levels began to spike. Their suits shielding held, but the humans could feel the oppressive weight of the invisible danger surrounding them. Finally, they reached the central chamber. Before them loomed the massive, pulsating heart of the shield generator. And there, amidst the swirling energies, they saw the problem. A cracked power conduit, leaking vital energy and destabilizing the entire system. "There," Dr. Chen shouted over the roar of the machinery. "We need to reroute the power and seal that breach." What followed was a testament to human ingenuity and teamwork. Dr. Okafor worked to reroute the power flows, his hands flying over alien controls with newfound expertise. Dr. Chen, drawing on her knowledge of xenobiology and material sciences, began to fabricate a seal that could withstand the intense energies. Zara, meanwhile, found herself facing an unexpected challenge. The radiation was interfering with their communication to the outside. Thinking quickly, she rigged up a makeshift signal booster using parts from their suit's non-essential systems. Her creativity ensured that the vital link to the control center remained intact. As the minutes ticked by, the humans pushed themselves to their limits. The heat was intense, the radiation levels were climbing, and the physical toll of working in the heavy protective suits was immense. But they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that an entire civilization's fate rested in their hands. In the control center, the Zor 7 watched in awe as the human team worked with a level of coordination and determination they had never witnessed before. Professor Lumi X's form glowed with a mix of anxiety and hope, silently willing the brave Earth beings to succeed. Just as it seemed a task might be beyond even human endurance, Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comm link. "Seal in place. Jamal, reroute the power, now." Dr. Okafor's hands flew across the controls one last time. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to change. Then, slowly but surely, the alarms began to quiet. The pulsing energies stabilized, and the ominous creaking of the generator subsided. In the control room, cheers erupted as the monitoring systems confirmed the shield was once again fully operational. The Zor 7's bodies lit up in a dazzling display of joy and relief, their forms merging and separating in a spontaneous dance of celebration. As the human team made their way back to the transport pad, exhausted but triumphant, they were met with a sight they never expected to see. The usually reserved and cautious Zor-7 had gathered in huge numbers, their glowing forms creating a pathway of light and color. As the humans emerged, a telepathic chorus of gratitude and admiration washed over them, so powerful it was almost overwhelming. Professor Lumi X floated forward, her form radiant with pride and newfound respect. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Okafor, Miss Patel, you have saved our world. Your courage, your adaptability, your willingness to risk everything for others. These are qualities we have long overlooked in our quest for perfect efficiency. Today, you have taught us the value of embracing challenge and facing the unknown." The aftermath of the crisis brought sweeping changes to Zor-7 society. Inspired by the humans' example, the aliens began to push their own boundaries. The education system was revamped to encourage creative problem-solving and calculated risk-taking. Scientific endeavors that were once deemed too dangerous or impractical were revisited with new enthusiasm. Moreover, the Zor-7 High Council voted unanimously to expand their interstellar exchange program. No longer content to merely observe the galaxy from afar, they began to reach out to other species, eager to learn and share knowledge. As for the human trio, they were hailed as heroes across Zor-7. They spent their remaining time on the planet giving lectures, participating in cultural exchanges, and helping to bridge the gap between human and Zor-7 perspectives. On their last day, as they prepared to return to Earth, Professor Lumi X presented them with a special gift, a small glowing crystal that pulsed with the same energy as the planetary shield. "This will serve as a permanent link between our worlds," she explained. "A reminder of the day when human courage and Zor-7 technology came together to achieve the impossible." As the humans stepped onto the transport pad for their journey home, Dr. Chen turned to her alien friends one last time. "Remember, Professor, the greatest discoveries often lie just beyond our comfort zone. Keep reaching for the stars." With a flash of light, the humans vanished, leaving behind a world forever changed by their brief visit. The Zor-7, once content in their isolated efficiency, now looked to the future with new eyes, ready to embrace the challenges and wonders the galaxy had to offer. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other civilizations would soon learn that when humanity and Zor-7 worked together, the impossible became merely improbable, and the improbable became their playground.